front office.
Yeah, Kevin, I would bring him back. It's a marriage of convenience. It's really better for both sides. If I'm Cleveland, I have a great roster. Baker Mayfield's a better football player than Jacoby Brissett. It's not ideal by any stretch, but he gives them a better chance to win this year. And if I'm Baker Mayfield, Kevin, this is a place where I can maximize ability. I'm going to the last year of my deal, and let's be a free agent in 2023, coming off of a great season with the Browns. So if I'm Baker and I'm Cleveland, we were headed for a divorce, but I would have an emergency reconciliation for the 2022 season.
Okay, that is from your front office perspective, but as you said, also, Baker has to decide if he can get over it and decide to come back and play here with the idea of just one season, with the context of maybe testing free agency after a fantastic performance this upcoming season. Mike T., thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coming up, Kevo, could the Commanders be the last?
Shoulder surgery in March. His rehab remains on track. He's expected to start throwing in the next few weeks and be ready for training camp. NFL front office insider Mike Tannenbaum joining us now. And Mike, with the uncertainty of Deebo Samuel there with the Niners, who should be the 49ers starting quarterback when the season begins? Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance?
Kev, this one's easy. It's Jimmy Garoppolo. Here's a guy that a couple years ago brought them to the Super Bowl, to the championship game last year. I love Trey Lance's upside. I love his potential long term. They have a great team in San Francisco. They could win now. I am hard-pressed to understand how the San Francisco 49ers are better with Trey Lance this year than Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay, we will see, of course, how this plays out, especially with training camp just about a month away, and Garoppolo at 30 years of age coming off a shoulder surgery. Now, Deshaun Watson's disciplinary hearing is tomorrow, with the NFL expecting a 7-year, $182 million contract with Colorado this offseason. And you know what? Just the big name is back, because it's been a tough year for some of the best players in all of baseball. Look at the All-Stars, Jacob deGrom, Fernando Tatis, who haven't played all season. Max Scherzer's been out for over a month with an oblique. He just started his rehab. And then, of course, over the weekend, Bryce Harper breaking his thumb, and he's out indefinitely, and I wanted to cry.
It's weird how you just missed out on that notable name, Ozzie Albies, of the world champion Braves. Weird how you skipped him like that.
I knew you would get that. I knew you would have our back.
Bryce Harper, who cares?
Rating MVP of the National League.
The NBA's free agency period officially beginning a little under 72 hours from now. Thursday night, 6 p.m. Eastern. The Pistons, Pacers, Magic, Spurs are projected to have significant financial flexibility going into free agency. Knicks could also have a path to create some cap space by clearing out more contracts. All eyes on Zach LaVine. He leads the list of unrestricted free agents. After finishing up his 5th season with the Bulls, the All-Star averaged over 24 points a game this season and helped Chicago advance to the playoffs. I heard he can dunk, too. James Harden has a player option with the Sixers. They'd have to pay him $47 million to stay in Philly. Bradley Beal also has a player option, but he's expected to decline that offer and possibly sign a max deal in Washington. And then, of course, there's Kyrie Irving and his player option of nearly $37 million to stay in Brooklyn. Kyrie has a sign-and-trade wish list if no deal's made with the Nets, but all 6 teams would need Brooklyn's help to get a deal done. You know, the beautiful part of what we do is we just, throw out potential trade partners, and Bobby Marks makes it make sense with the numbers. He's our NBA front office insider. We heard Woj earlier say, really, the Lakers are the only team interested right now, or known to be interested in potentially doing a sign and trade with Kyrie. How do they make that work?
They don't.
Okay.
I mean, it's all about math here. And when you look at the Lakers salary cap situation right now at $153 million, okay? There's a hard cap, which is at $157 million. So even if the Nets wanted to say, you know what, we want to take Russell Westbrook back, which is highly, highly unlikely, and put Irving in for Westbrook, you're going to exceed that hard cap number, because remember, you have to fill out all your roster. You have a lot of empty roster spots, about 7 extra roster spots, which cost you about $14 million. So when you swap out the numbers, you are going to trigger this hard cap, and now you will not be able to do that type of deal. Okay, polarizing figure or not, there's nobody that's not arguing that Kyrie Irving isn't an incredible talent. So if you're the Nets GM, Sean Marks, what's he trying to accomplish with a potential trade? Well, what you're trying to accomplish is not take back long-term salary here, because you do not know what's going to happen with Kevin Durant. Right. So if you're, 2 things here. Either you let him just walk, right? Let him opt out of that number. Let him go to the Lakers for $6.5 million. Or maybe you can flip him for a draft pick or a player that's on a 1 or 2 year contract. You don't want to take back long-term salary if you're going to trade Irving.
Okay. What does this all mean for Kevin Durant's future? Well, Brooklyn, that's always the question mark here, Bobby.
That's the big mystery, right? What happens if Irving opts out of his contract and goes to the Lakers? Now, does Durant want to be traded for him? That's what we're going to have to wait and see. If that is going to be the case, I mean, you're going to be looking at a haul. I mean, when was the last time a player who had 4 years, $197 million left on his contract asked to be traded? Probably similar to what the Thunder got for Paul George, 5 first-round picks, young players here. So that's the next domino to fall if Irving doesn't come back.
We keep seeing parallels made between potentially what KD would try to do in forcing his way out and Anthony Davis. But Anthony Davis had 1 year left on his deal in New Orleans, not 4. Bobby Marks with the latest, just trying to make it make sense.
And it all fell apart.
When it ends like that, you start thinking about a whole year.
Still asking why.
I mean, I was out, Kev was out, James gets traded. It's just a culmination of things that happened throughout our year.
A lot of stuff that happened throughout the season that needed to go well in order for you to be a good team. And a lot of things didn't go our way.
The Nets were the only team to be swept in this year's playoffs, and with 3 seasons under their belts as teammates, KD and Kyrie have played just 58 games together. Brooklyn now facing a reality which not one but maybe both of its All-Stars will be on their way out this summer. For more, we send it over to Mike and Tony with today's BTI bonus segment.
All right, Wilbon, if Kyrie Irving leaves Brooklyn, what should Kevin Durant do?
Well, Tony, I don't know what he should do. I know what he can do and seems likely to do in the atmosphere in which we live now with the NBA. Stars can just determine. I know I just signed a 4-year deal. I'm under contract for 4 years. I want out. We've seen it time and again. We saw it with Ben Simmons. He had at least 3 more left. We've seen it with James Harden. We've seen this movie. So Kevin Durant can force his way out. Now, where would that be? He would not have total say with that. He does not have a no-trade clause in his contract. At least that's what I'm under the impression of. And so he'd have to be traded elsewhere, and maybe he gets a shot at a pretty decent team. Or he can stay with the Brooklyn Nets, Tone, where he's got, you know, a couple of players around him. Oh, he's got a guy named Ben Simmons who just forced his way out. And he's got Seth, not Steph Curry, Seth Curry. So he's got the beginnings of something. Is that good enough in the East to win? No. And so I don't know what Brooklyn could get back. What could Brooklyn get back, say, from the Lakers if they traded Kyrie to L.A.? Nothing, because the Lakers ain't got nothing that you would want if you're Brooklyn that would be tradable. So I don't know what he should do, but I know what he could do.
I think the first thing Kevin Durant should do is look in the mirror and ask himself the following question. I left Steph Curry for this guy? Really? I did that? I had the bird in hand and I took the 2 in the bush, and I may not get anything at all. Now, if he likes Brooklyn, if he likes living in the New York area and he likes playing there, then you can stay, because a lot of people are going to want to play with Kevin Durant. And if Ben Simmons is recovered from whatever injuries he has and whatever
All-star.
emotional circumstance he had, Ben Simmons can be an all-star. So there is talent there. He doesn't, I agree with you, he does not necessarily have to leave, but he's got to ask himself, what am I doing now?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? The last departure looks like bad judgment at this point. And, you know, there's no blaming other people. I mean, that's what the biggest stars, it seems now, they like to do. Blame other people. God knows Kyrie's going to blame everybody else. But KD, there's no blaming. They didn't want him out of Golden State. He could have been there if he wanted. He wanted to go to Brooklyn. And so, you know what? Be careful what you ask for. That's it. We're done. Back to you.
It has been more than 4 months since Brittany Griner was arrested at a Moscow airport, and almost 2 months since the U.S. government classified her wrongfully detained. With mounting pressure to exhaust all efforts to bring the WNBA star home, Griner back in court in Moscow today for what experts describe as an important and necessary step in negotiating terms for a return home. Sal Palantonia has more in tonight's SportsCenter report.
On Monday, in a courthouse in a suburb of Moscow, WNBA star Brittany Griner was finally seen in public for the first time after spending 4 months in a Russian jail. A photographer for the Associated Press snapped a photo of Griner appearing in handcuffs, shackled to a law enforcement officer. She was whisked into a courtroom, and in a quick preliminary hearing, the WNBA star for the Phoenix Mercury was told she will stand trial on Friday. Griner has been charged with large-scale drug smuggling for allegedly carrying vape cartridges containing cannabis oil when she entered the country in February. Her detention was extended for another 6 months, and if convicted, Griner faces 10 years in prison.
Brittany, how do you feel? Is everything okay?
U.S. diplomatic officials have become engaged in the case, and some are hopeful that a deal can be struck for Griner's release after her trial. Griner's case has gained international notoriety among human rights organizations and become entangled in the turbulent relations between Russia and the U.S. in the aftermath of the invasion of Ukraine.
Any American that is held abroad is a priority for this president. We've spoken to that, and we will do everything that we can to bring them home.
Knowing that the State Department and pretty much the whole world is on this, I think gives us a lot of confidence knowing that they're working on it.
According to a Russian legal expert, any possible prisoner swap to free Griner would have to happen after her trial. Reporting for ESPN, I'm Sal Palantonio.